Thank you, Mr. President, for the opportunity. Just a few questions with the Shed and with the Vice Chairman with regard to the budget of the state universities and colleges as well. Let me follow up on some of the points made by Senator Pia. First, the budget for 2016 in the committee report is 33.9 billion. Is that correct?
Yes, Mr. President.
Yes. How much was it last year?
Wait.
Minus muna natin yung UP. 42 to 79 minus UP. UP 13. 142. So last year is 29 billion.
29 billion last year, Mr. President.
From the data I have here, last year was 42.
Minus UP, Mr. President. Minus yung
I'm
UP.
sorry. For 2015, the budget for the state universities and colleges, was 42.3 billion. Is that correct?
Including UP.
Yes, including UP, Mr. President.
Including UP na to. From what I have here, it is just for the state universities,
Yes, including UP.
without UP.
Including UP.
Sigurado.
Yes,
Including UP, Mr. President.
Is 42 this year for 2015.
2015, yes. 42,279,507.
Oh, okay. And the capital outlay for this year is 8.7 billion.
Capital outlay. No, 5.7. 5.7.
This year,
This year, 2016? 2015.
2015,
8.7, correct.
8.7 billion. And for 2016, how much is your capital outlay?
5.7.
So there's a 3 billion reduction in capital outlay.
Yes, Mr. President.
Okay. At the appropriate time, would the gentleman be amenable if I can source funds to increase the capital outlay for the state universities and colleges?
Most welcome, Mr. President.
Thank you very much. I'd love to work with the Vice Chairman on this issue, Mr. President. Now, assuming we were to give back 3 billion to the state universities, and there are roughly 116, so that's about 25 million each. Isn't that so? We could add 25 billion each. 25
Okay,
million
Mr.
each.
President.
Okay. Now, let me continue, Mr. President, and I'll try to be very brief. How many students do we have today in the state universities and colleges? 2015.
1.2, excluding UP. 1.2 million, Mr. President, including UP.
Okay, 1.2. How many are in UP of the 1.2 million? I-divide mo yung total SUC budget, including UP, and the 1.2 million.
Students 58,000, Mr. President.
58,000 in UP, so 1.1 million 50 in the SUCs.
More or less,
Okay?
Mr. President.
But insofar as the budget is concerned, 1/4 of the entire subsidy goes to UP. Meaning to say, the entire budget for the UP system and the state universities and colleges is roughly 45 billion. Okay? 33.9 plus 11.7 is roughly 45 billion. Okay?
Yes, Mr. President.
Of the 45 billion, 11 billion or 12 billion is UP. I have no problem with that. But if you look at the number of students, 1.2 million, and if UP only has 60,000, that's 5%. of all the
Okay, Mr.
students.
President.
Okay, so these are facts. Is
Yes,
that
Mr.
correct?
President.
Okay. If we were to divide 45 billion divided by 1.2 million students, how much are we spending per student subsidy? It's just the math anyway, so.
How much?
So that's 27,000.
45, roughly 45,000.
37,000 per student.
45.
45 billion divided by 1.2 is about 37. 37,500.
You've apparently done the math, Mr. President.
In my head, Mr. President. Now,
I'm told it's 47.5, Mr. President.
we can do it. It will come out to be 37.5. But anyway, yeah.
Anyway, I see the point, Mr.
Yes,
President.
okay. For next year, how many students will there be? Because you have K to 12, eh?
Madam.
What is the estimate? How many students will we have next year? Do you have the bill?
Will be coming in. For
Finals. But then there are also students, all the high school students.
yeah, but give me an answer. Give me an answer. 400,000. 400,000, Mr. President.
So we expect only 400,000 students next year.
So kung minus. 1.2 minus 400,000.
Minus 400,000. Okay. So 800,000 na lang next year.
Yes, Mr. President.
Kasama na yung UP dun.
Yes, kasama na.
Ilan naman yung matitira sa UP? Kung 50,000 ngayon, minus one-third din.
Magiging from 60 to 50,000, Mr. President.
Okay, so, and that is because of K to 12. Okay?
Yes, Mr. President.
Okay. Assuming, because I have a bill, Senate Bill 2986, for free public college. Okay? Let's say for next year, kung 800,000 na lang ang estudyante, edi mas mura na yun.
Okay, Mr.
Kaysa sa
President.
1.2 billion. How much is the tuition fee on the average per student?
Give me the range. Yeah, give me an average. The highest will be 12,000.
Tuition fee lang yun, ha? How much is the tuition fee per
Minus UP, 12,000, Mr. President, being the highest.
12,000
Being the highest.
being the highest? Highest na yun. So would you say that the average is only 10,000?
What's the average?
Okay.
They have no average. They have not averaged it out yet.
For the sake of argument, it's 10,000. The highest is 12, eh?
Okay.
Okay?
I'll accept
If
that,
there
Mr.
are
President.
only 800,000 students, and we were to pay 10,000 each subsidy, libre na ang tuition nila, that is only 8 billion. Libre na ang public college. So marami nagsasabi kasi na imposible daw tayo magbigay ng free public college. But the truth of the matter is, the budget is 3 trillion pesos. And what we are spending for public college in this country, as far as public college is concerned, is only 44 billion or 45. UP and SUC. Okay?
Okay.
Next year, kung 800,000 na lang ang estudyante, at 10,000 each to reduce the cost, o libre na yung tuition fee, miscellaneous fees na lang yung babayaran ng estudyante. If I can source 8 billion, Mr. President, from the budget, can we provide free, would you be amenable to provide free public college? No,
The
no.
the chairman
Libre na.
the chairman of the CHED says they have a strong opinion paper and a strong position against that.
Against free public college? I'll tell you, one of the debates in the U.S. today is to provide free public college already. I mean, in the past, we started with free elementary. Then we moved on to free high school. In the future, and I'm saying you can do it now, we can provide free public college. Kukuha ka pa rin naman ng exam eh. Those who are meritorious na pwede pumasok sa kolehiyo, pwedeng tulungan.
Mr.
Yes.
Finish first, Mr. President.
Pwede natin bigyan. Remember, we're only spending for the state universities, 1% of the national budget for state universities. Ang budget next year, 3 trillion. Ang budget ng SUC, 33 billion. 1.1% ang ginagastos natin.
Well, according to CHED, Mr. President, the amount that you stated is just the tuition, but that is not the cost of educating a
I agree.
student.
We were earlier. I asked already. 33 billion plus the 11 billion divided by 1.2 million, 37,000 ang subsidy natin ngayon. That's part of the cost of education.
For each student.
For each student. I'm saying if we increase it to plus 10,000, 47,000 per student na. For next year, 800 na lang.
Yes, Mr. President.
Okay? So, kasya na yung free tuition na rin. Hindi pa natin pinag-uusapan yung miscellaneous fees.
Because it's a
Now.
transition budget.
Oh, kayang gawin eh. If you study the budget, you can do it. Let me give you another example, Mr. President. Remember, in my subcommittee, there was a proposal to give Land Bank 20 billion. DBP, another 10 billion. I don't think they need it. Why? The reason being is that their capital adequacy ratio. But their capital adequacy ratio is sufficient. DBP and Land Bank. And they're both government banks to begin with. The biggest deposits in Land Bank and DBP to begin with are government deposits. Both local government and the national government. The worst part, that money is being lent out to the private sector and not to MSMEs or to farmers or even to the government itself, but to the private sector. So, dun pa lang eh, you can source out already a portion of that to be given to the SUCs.
Well,
For their training for the next 2 years because of K to 12, to build up their dormitories, halimbawa, to provide additional subsidy to our students, tuition fees. So, did I hear you correct, Mr. Chairman, that the CHED is against government adding
Yes.
additional subsidy for students in state universities and colleges?
It costs so much more than what is the estimate. It costs about 70,000 per student.
they don't agree with the numbers, the amount. It costs so much more, according to them, per student. To educate a student, it's around 70,000 pesos.
Oh, ulitin ko nga eh. Oh. We already discussed earlier. Today, you're giving a subsidy. Ulitin ko ha.
Well, Mr. Chairman, before you proceed, I'd like to state that I'm with you here. I'm just stating that that's the position of CHED.
Yes. So that is for the record. They don't want additional subsidies. Okay, another question. Then let's go back to the math of this again. Another question,
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chairman.
They're
For the
saying
CHED. Okay, how much do we have in scholarships today? We are doing it anyway through scholarships. Can we add additional scholarships? Eh, ganun na rin yun eh.
So we're asking for additional scholarship, additional subsidy, rather than Is that your option? Because right now, across the board, the richer students will benefit more. So we have a position right now.
But anyway, let's answer his question muna.
8 billion nga ako eh. Alam ko na ito.
Mr. President, while they're churning the figures, getting the figures,
I suppose that should be top of mind, ah. Magkano ang budget ng CHED sa scholarship? Yes. Okay. Oh, today,
Maybe Senator Recto has an answer to his question.
yes, my staff has the answer.
All right.
Mr.
So can you just put it on the record so
Yes.
that we
For
will...
next year, if I'm not mistaken, there's 2 billion in your budget for scholarship. Ay di dagdagan ko ng 6, di libre na lahat.
what do you
Yes.
say?
How
Oh,
much do we need for the tuition fee, for the scholar, for tuition fee?
8 billion.
8 billion. And in
800,000 students plus 10,000 more, that's just 8 billion. And
May-
those numbers came from them, yes.
Mr. President, if I
Mr.
may.
President, can I make a manifestation?
can we just allow the sponsor to answer first and then we'll recognize?
Yes, Mr. President, if I may. What Ched is saying is that, you have 2 billion, you need 8 billion, so you just add 6. Okay. They are for scholarships, but not for across the board, libre lahat, because their reasoning is that it will benefit the rich students
No,
rather than the
okay.
poor students.
I disagree, Mr. President. We are talking here of state universities and colleges. Huh? That's what we're talking about here. They're amenable for scholarships, but they don't want us to increase the budget for scholarships for everyone.
No, they are for it. You're for it.
Oh, but
They're
why
for it.
can't we just give it free to everyone? Ulitin ko lang, ha? Okay.
Mr. President, can I make a manifestation?
Please do so.
With the permission of Senator Recto and Senator Guingona, yes, Senator Villares.
There are many bills we have, laws which we have passed which will give scholarship to CHED out of the funds, like the Sugar Industry Development Fund. They'll give 10% of the 2 billion, that's 200 million to CHED. And then we're passing the ASEF that would give also 10% of the fund to scholarship in the SUC. So there are many more coming. Every time we pass a bill in agriculture, we give
Yes.
scholarship. Okay, so
Thank
we
I agree.
expect some more. Okay.
Yes, thank you for that manifestation. You know, if the reasoning is that mabibigyan yung mayayaman, number one, these are public schools, these are public state universities and colleges. Sa totoo lang, yung nakakaapak ng kolehiyo, hindi ganun kahirap yun. Naintindihan, kaya nga umabot ng kolehiyo eh. Mostly, yung mahihirap hanggang grade 6 lang yan. At kaya nananatiling mahirap yan dahil hindi nakatungtong ng high school yan. Paminsan-minsan, kinakaya ng pamilya, nakakatapos ng high school yan. So sa madaling salita, tiyak yan, mas mayaman ka naman nga naman talaga para pumasok ng kolehiyo. But having said that, Mr. President, we began in this country with free elementary. Then we had more resources. We moved on to free high school. Then we have more resources. We're talking about K-12. And I'm saying, based on the numbers today, you can provide free public college, as I've easily pointed out now. Hindi pa kasama dyan. I'm just talking about the tuition, ha? Meron pa rin yan, pamasahe, meron pa rin yan, bibili na ng libro, meron pa yan, miscellaneous fees. But I'm flabbergasted and surprised that the CHED will want to have scholarships but not to provide free tuition to 800,000 students in state universities and colleges. I cannot understand that. Again, the budget of the national government is 3 trillion pesos. We're only spending 1% for state universities and colleges. 33 billion. Okay? Why can't we spend a little more? What's wrong with spending, may 2 billion na tayo sa scholarship? dagdagan ko ng 6 na bilyon yan. Madali naman i-source yan sa dami ng pondo in different departments. Napakadaling ibigay yung free public college.
I am with you there, Mr. President. So I'm stating my personal opinion.
I know that the Vice Chairman is with me here.